What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. Of course, this is TWA Motorsports, and today it's beautiful. It's like 80 degrees. We got a little bit of a breeze, so sorry if you guys are catching some wind noise, but we are going to be doing a little bit on the Daily Driver Silverado. I love the fact that I can go back and forth, so I can do a couple things to this, work on the other projects in the garage, and it just gives me the ability to do multiple things, like maybe smaller stuff, not as in depth, but either way, I want to do a few things to this today. So the very first thing is I want to get, I may not go in this order, but I got some new lug nuts, and they're just some factory takeoff GM lug nuts that I'm going to be replacing these old nasty ones with. And I know that brake caliper looks disgusting. We'll address that at some point too, but I don't like the locking ones. They're just not, I'm just not a fan. And they're all rusty, so I did get some factory replacements that we're going to be putting on. The other thing I got was I got a new bow tie for the front we're going to be putting on today. And I know I've got headlights of, man guys, I don't know what's going on right now. I'm sure it's COVID related, but getting headlights has been some sort of issue right now. It seems like everybody was on back order. I did get some ordered. They're supposed to be here in a few weeks, so we'll just see. But that looks terrible. But either way, the main thing I want to do today is I just got this back from my PDR guy, and he pulled all the dings that he could pull out of it. And so I had one little one on the door. I don't think that probably showed up in the first video. The main ones that probably did was there was one right here, pretty substantial one that he got out. And then the main stuff that I wanted addressed was this here. This was completely mangled. I don't know what they hit. I assume it's plastic because the majority of the paint is there. We're really not missing any paint, but you could see the marring here. And that's what I'm wanting to address today. I want to see if we can get that off of there. And then there was one kind of like here. He couldn't get to this area. There's just no access to get that one off. And then there's a small one here. Just not a whole lot of access there, guys. So I'm not really concerned about that, but this one was really rough. And as you guys know, or may not know, but the taillight was busted. We've already replaced the taillight. So whatever they hit got into that. How it didn't get into the bumper, I have no idea, but the bumper is good. But let's get with it. Let's go grab my polisher and some supplies, and I'm just gonna focus on this area, guys. I'm not gonna do the whole truck. I just do not feel like getting into that right now. There's just so much that needs to be addressed on this truck as far as the paint correction. But I'm wanting to focus on this area right here. So I'll set you guys up on a tripod. We'll talk about what I'm going to be using and see if we can knock some of this scuffing off. So how I'm going to start here is I've got a little blue tape, and I'm just going to tape off the taillight just to try to keep us off of this brand new taillight. Now you could take it off if you wanted, but I think this will keep me out of it. And I might tape the top of the bed because I might get crazy and do the whole bedside. I don't know. We'll see. This tape, I really probably should have got my smaller tape. We're not planning on going this far, but in case we do get a little out of control. So once we get that tape there, I'm gonna start with just some old clay bar. So I'm just gonna clean this area up with clay bar. I really should wash it, but I'm not going to just because we're gonna be correcting this area. So I'm gonna go ahead and, well, I'll get it out here in a second. I am gonna go ahead, I'm gonna tape this up top here, and just in case I get crazy, like I said, and decide to do the whole rail, but we'll get that done, and then we'll get the clay bar out and go over it. So as I said, I'm just using some old junky clay bar. This isn't new. I like to use old stuff with, you know, when you're doing some really crazy stuff. There's a ton of that rust, like I said, and I did this the other night when I took the trim off. I went over this whole area, but we're gonna go over it again. Feels a lot better than it did when I first did it. And I actually thought that some of this might come off with the clay, but it didn't. Listen to that. It sounds like sandpaper. You know what I need? I need my son to come out here and do this. That's what I need. Look at that. It's bad. So I'm gonna go over this probably 2 times at least. Especially this area here where we're gonna be correcting the most. I have a feeling, since I got the stuff out, I'll probably do the whole bedside at least. Maybe not, I don't know. Wow. Golly, this is bad. Let's go grab the buffer now and see what I want to use. So like you've seen me use several times here, I'm gonna try to, oh, you can see. I've got microfiber polishing pad on my Griot's polisher. I'm using some M105, and we're gonna be pretty liberal with this. We're gonna use quite a bit of it, if I can get it to come out of here. I know this looks like a lot, but this pad's pretty dry. We're gonna start right here on this area. And then we'll move down. The paint is popped in a couple spots, so obviously we're not gonna be able to fix that. But this, I think a lot of this marring is gonna come out. I'm gonna start at a pretty low speed to spread it out. And then we'll speed it up as we go. take a couple passes, that's for sure. Now we're gonna go to our second pass, and I'm gonna go up a little higher. I'm gonna make multiple passes on both. Same situation here. I really need to clay bar it a little bit more before I may not go all over the bed. Getting there. I don't want to get too greedy, because what happens is generally when they bend this paint back, it's a little weaker than it was to begin with. And I've noticed there's a couple areas here where it's popped a little bit. And so I don't want to get real crazy there. So I may call that good. I might go over it one more time with not a ton of pressure. I'm not giving the machine a ton of pressure anyway, but between each session, you really need to clean out this. So we've got, see how the pad's all matted up? I use a denture brush is what I use. So I'll turn it on and just rub the denture brush through it. You can buy a expensive pad cleaning brush, which if I had a more expensive pad, I might do that option, but for what I'm doing here, this works great. So after 3 passes, guys, this is what I've got. And there's still, generally if you can feel it with your nail, you're not gonna get it. There's still a kind of a mark there, but look, this is a daily driver. I just mainly wanted to concern myself with the marring. It's not gonna be perfect. I'm not gonna paint this thing. But now I am gonna move on to this area down here, which is gonna be a little more tricky, just mainly because, like I said, the paint's popped. I don't know if you guys can see that in the camera, but the paint is cracked here. And I'm sure that, you know, that probably happened during the accident and it didn't help. He was heating it up as he was bending it back. So look, you're gonna have that sometimes, especially as deep as this. This thing went back probably a couple inches. And so you're gonna have that if you've got that much damage. You know, this color is extremely hard to match as far as like painting just a bedside. So if it were a little worse, I probably would have had this painted, even though, you know, you're probably gonna have to blend down the entire side of this thing. But like I said, we're gonna just try to get it to look better. So I'm gonna focus on this area right here. Hopefully you guys can see that. Maybe you can't. Let's move you over here so you can see those Mars right there. There's like one there, there. Maybe this guy, we might go some of it out, and maybe some of this black, this transfer. But we're gonna keep working on it. Some little rock chips down here too, I noticed. We're getting there. We got a majority of these spots off back here. I really wish I had the bumper off. I mean, I don't have to have it off, but it'd just make life a little easier. Well guys, after 3 passes, I feel like I'm like borderline greedy. So I'm gonna use a little WD-40 and see if we can rub some of this transfer off. I'm just afraid if I go a little too much more, we're gonna lose it. I just need to soften this up, and then maybe I can get one more pass on it. And maybe I should leave it. Sometimes when you're correcting paint, if you don't have the tools, I don't have a micrometer to measure how deep the clear is, and we're dealing with a section that's been repaired. So I don't want to get crazy and blow off the paint in this big section, then we'll have a big mess. I got a little bit of it off, but not as much as I was hoping for. Might go over it again with the clay bar. Just to see. It's just that it's black. It's driving me nuts. If it were like a chalkish color or white. Oh, I should have cleared that WD-40 off. This stuff does not like WD-40, just so you guys know. Clay bar. Ooh, I'm about to get it.
So what we'll do, this is gonna get the rest of it. I'm gonna go over it one more pass after I get this off, and then I'm gonna call it good. Got it. Well, at least I got what I wanted to get clean. All right, let's show you guys different angles here. So you can see, I don't know if you guys can see that right there. That's where that paint's cracked. Let me see if I can get you like really close. I don't know if you'll be able to pick it up on camera, but yeah, I'm gonna call that good, guys. I'm gonna peel my tape off and walk away while I still have paint here. It feels 1,000 times better. I'm not going to do anything else here until I do the whole truck. So normally I would go over this again with something a little lighter to kind of clean up the hazing that this would leave. But I'm not going to really concern myself with that. So at this point, let's move on to the new lug nuts. So I moved downstairs. This is the next night. This is what I got to replace these with. So you guys know that these require a lock, and I'll show them to you once I get one off. But these are just GM takeoffs. And guys, honestly, you can find these on eBay, and I'll list it in the description down below. They're not gonna be perfect because they've been on and off, but they're good for this. And like I said, I don't like carrying a lock around, and these are all rusty and look terrible. These things hold up really well. Other than, you know, scratches, they don't rust, and they're really expensive to buy new. A lot of people go buy like black wheels or something for their new trucks, and they take these off, and so a lot of times they'll sell them used, and to me that's the best way to buy them. So I've got a set here in a box. We're gonna go ahead and take these old ones off, and I'll show you what the difference is. And the cool thing is that this is the same size, so it's 7/8, but see what I'm talking about? That looks terrible. And like I said, I'm not trying to make a show truck here, but rusty wheels they just look terrible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do these one at a time, so I don't have to lift this thing up, take it off, and you know, and then we'll go back and torque them. So I'll probably just time lapse this wheel, and then we'll move on to the grill, see if we can get that bow tie in. Another thing before we torque these down, I want you to look at the difference at how much further those set more flush with the wheel compared to these back here where they kind of poke out. I don't know, it just looks better. So in my opinion, it looks better. So at this point, guys, I am gonna go ahead and torque these. I didn't feel comfortable. I know in the last video, somebody said, why didn't you torque these to 140, which is what the factory spec says. I didn't because I didn't feel comfortable. Those things felt really chintzy going on with my impact. So these, I'm gonna go ahead and torque them to 140 all the way around. Of course, we gotta replace the rest of them, but at this point, let's move on to the grill. So like I said, onto the grill emblem. So the very first thing we need to do is pop the hood. And I'm hoping, guys, that we can get to it from back behind here. I think we're gonna be able to. I think because I want a little more access than what I have currently, I'm gonna take this panel off. It's just a series of clips. I'm gonna go get my clip removal tool, and we'll get it out of the way just so I have more room. I think I could probably, you know, snake my hand in there and do it, but I just want more room. This is what I'm talking about. These things are so handy. They're perfect for these style of clips. Let's see if I can set them somewhere where they won't like fall off. Man, this guy was sticker happy, just like the step-side truck guy. It's like, where do we put the JBA stickers? This truck has a set of JBA headers on it, and honestly, I wish it didn't. It's a little, and then I don't know what, it's got some sort of muffler on it. It's not crazy loud, but you guys know, you know, from the red truck being pulled apart, that I don't know, I'm over loud, especially for a daily. All right, now that we got that, set this thing just there for now. And we should have a 10 millimeter, and that's what we have. Back behind this, there's a 10 millimeter here and one here. So I'm gonna go grab a small 10 millimeter, and it'd probably be best if it were a deep, but I'll go grab a 1/4 inch so it's a little smaller that we can get in there. And see what I'm talking about here, just a smaller one. And I think most people probably thought it had a black bow tie, but like I said, this is just the inside of a separated one. That's the factory one, it just came apart. And these are what I call speed nuts that hold that thing on. They're really easy to strip. And let's go grab the new one and take a look at it. So this is the one I bought, and it came off Amazon. I'll list it below as well, but it's got kind of mixed reviews, guys. Some people say it fits good, others say it fits like crap. So I don't know. I mean, that fits fine. And that's going to look really nice. You can see the dip. Well, I won't put the other one on because I got nuts and bolts sitting on it. But this one was short, you know, and this one does what it's supposed to. So, and it's billet. How they attach these though is you get these studs that go in, and that was a complaint. You can see that the stud's not screwing in very far. So what I may do is wrap something around this. I think I will, and get a pair of vice grips and give it a little more than what it's. I mean, you don't want to poke through the front of it, but it's nowhere near threading in as far as it needs to. So I'm going to go do that. Let's see. The other complaint was that the holes didn't line up, and they're right. They don't quite line up. So we're going to have to, well, maybe not. They're not quite lined up. I'm gonna make those holes a little bigger. So I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna go tighten these up with a pair of vice grips, and then I'm gonna grab a drill and just make those holes just a hair bigger. It's actually acting like it's wanting to thread in a little further now. But let's go tighten those up and grab a drill. Make sure we drill in the right spot here. Oh, there is an up and a down. You see the logo. So it seems to me like you don't need much. And like I said, this was a complaint about it. I'm just using a stepped drill bit. And that's probably all I'm gonna need to do. I don't think it's gonna take. And because of the alignment pins in a factory one, if you ever wanted to go back, you could, and it won't move around on you. It still looks to me like it needs to move a little bit more. We may go a little bit more with those holes. Feels like it's staying there on its own. Go just a hair bigger. Let's try again. There we go. It's not a perfect fit, but it fits pretty good. It's like this is just a hair too big. Like if you were really, really picky, I don't know, you may not like it because the bottom just looks like it's tweaked a little bit. That's not terrible. I don't think unless you got up on it, you'd ever know. Okay, so once we get that there, we did have to change to a 3/8. You've got a washer that goes on the back. And then obviously a 3/8 nut. I'm gonna try not to drop it. Let's see. Now you're just going into plastic, so don't get crazy tight. I'm right-handed, so I'd call that left-handed tight. It's the same way with the factory one though. If you get too tight on it, you'll strip those threads. I think that looks pretty good. So now that we got that on, let's go ahead and put this guy back in place. I need to clean under here. Put that on my list of 1,000 things to do. And it's not going at the top. All right. Yeah, I think that looks pretty nice. Tell me what you guys think. I'm going to take you off and show you what I'm talking about. Here you see this right there. Can you see that gap there? And it's pretty snug here in the corner, and it's snug up in this top corner, almost like you could tweak it and move it a little bit. The problem is there is no movement. Even if I'd have made those holes bigger, it's just a hair too big for where it's going. So but I think it looks a lot nicer. Like I said, unless you get up on it and you're really picky, it fits good enough for what I paid for it. I think it was like 30 bucks. You know, a really expensive one's like 90. And so to me, for 30 bucks, I can live with it. Oh, I got sweat on it. Well, guys, I think that's going to be it for this video. We got a couple things accomplished. And like I said in the last video, it's kind of nice to have something you can do little odds and ends things on while you're working on bigger projects here in the shop. And
but we made it look a lot nicer in my opinion. So obviously I did not care for those lug nuts. They had to go, and those factory lug nuts, just, they look so much nicer. No rust on them. And then of course the dings, you know, getting the dents out makes this thing look so much nicer, even if I didn't buff on it. Just not having that big one there. And then of course this whole mangled panel here, it looks so much nicer, especially with all the, you know, the stuff buffed off of it. But definitely gaining some ground here on the Daily Driver. I don't have a plan, guys. This isn't going to paint. I'm not going to do anything crazy like that. I am going to keep doing odds and ends things, you know, cleaning and whatnot. And then of course the bow tie, as I said, for 30 or 40 bucks, I think it's 35 bucks, whatever it was. Like I said, I'll list it below, but I don't think you can miss for that price. I think it fits. It's not perfect, but for the price, you know, it's better than spending 90 on one that you know is going to fit perfect, unless you want to spend that. I just didn't want to, and it was like 4 weeks out on the $90 one. So either way, guys, like I said, we're still going to be doing some stuff. Obviously we're doing a ton of stuff in the garage, but I'm going to do some odds and ends things to this as we go. You might see little one-off videos. Like I do still have to replace the window regulator in this door. I'm going to do a video on that when I do it. I did buy some stuff, some other little odds and ends pieces that I want to put on this as I go. Other than that, one of my wiring harnesses for my taillight's bad that I need to replace too. I'll show you guys when I do that. But let me know what you guys are thinking of this truck. I think it's cleaning up nicely. I drive it every single day. So as far as like blowing it apart to clean the interior, you haven't seen that yet, because I'm gonna, you know, that'll take me a couple days. And so I'm either gonna have to do it on my days off, or I'm gonna have to get another vehicle up and going, hopefully the red truck, and then we can blow it apart or whatever, to give it the good thorough cleaning that it needs, and we can scrub on the paint and make it look all nice. But let me know what you guys think in the comments of this truck. Do you want to continue to see me do stuff on it? Either way, I probably will, but I think a lot of you guys are liking it, especially you truck people. You know, I've had several comments saying don't get rid of it, you got to keep this one. And I do plan on keeping it for a little while, but it's not like a long-term keep. I don't think it's just not in that realm. But anyway, guys, if you are not subscribed, please go down there and subscribe. Of course, while you're down there, ring that bell icon that notifies you every single time we drop a new video, and stay tuned to see what we work on next.